All right, I am back. You are back. We're all feeling good, hopefully. And we're going to make these little pegs that go into these holes. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. Okay. I'll make sure you hit save too on these things, so it's really important. Okay, so as you can imagine, the next page has the print for these little shapes. I did not include the dimensions for like the front view of these, the triangle, square, circle, because if you think about it, if we were to try to put a 1-inch diameter circle or cylinder into a 1-inch diameter hole, it wouldn't fit. There'd be a lot of friction. So it needs to be a little bit smaller, okay? Just by a little bit. We call that clearance, okay? So that's kind of why I put this little note on here that says all shapes need to be 0.01, so that's 10 thousandths of an inch, smaller than the opening. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we're just going to extrude them all to 2 inches long. Okay, so just to give you a quick preview of what that looks like again, these are the blocks. They're all 2 inches long, and then they'll slide up and down. And the children that play with this toy will be very happy and smiley, and they'll laugh and have lots of joy. That's kind of how that works, right? Anyway, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just like before, I need to make a new component. So I'm going to go up here to new component. And I'm going to keep my naming structure very simple, and I'm just going to start with cylinder, because that's what it is. It's a cylinder. And you'll see that now I have a new component and everything else grays out or ghosts away. And then I'm going to hit a new sketch. This time I'm going to pick the top face, the top surface of this puzzle base. And you'll see I've now got a work surface. Now, I'm not going to draw any geometry. I'm going to use the geometry from here that I've already made. So I'm going to go up to the Modify menu, and I'm going to use something called Offset. And if you read what it says while I'm hovering, it says copies the selected sketch a specified distance from the original curves. So I'm going to click that. And then if I pick the circle, and then I drag in, you're going to see, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here before I show you anything else. I'm going to zoom in really close. You're going to see this little grip with an arrow, and if I left click and hold, oh, I'm still in the zoom mode, I better right click, okay. Now I got to hit my hand and move it up. Right click, okay. So what I can do is I can grab that little arrow grip and I can pull it on the inside. And you can see what it's going to do is it's going to draw geometry that is identical to the geometry I selected, but on either the inside or the outside. And I want it to draw it on the inside, and you can type in by how far. So in this case, negative 0.01. And I'm going to hit enter. So it's kind of hard to see because 10 thousandths of an inch is really small, but if I zoom in close, you'll see that it's just a little bit of a gap. And that's what I want. Okay, a little bit of a clearance. And then I'm going to finish my sketch. I should probably zoom more away. I should probably orbit, just so I can see it at an angle. Right click, okay. And now I'm going to extrude it straight up 2 inches. So I can type in 2, press enter. And now I'm going to activate my assembly to get out of this component. And I'll zoom back out. Now, I don't want to do a rigid connection here, because I want this to slide up and down. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back to Assemble, and I'm going to go back to As Built Joint, just like we did before. But now I'm going to pick Slider instead of Rigid. Rigid means it's not going to move, not going to rotate, not going to move, not going to slide. And now I want this to slide. So I'm going to pick first the object that I want to move. Second, the object in which it's going to slide. And the third selection, if you hover, I usually look for, this is a cylinder, so it's pretty easy. So if you pick the top face, you're going to see, and it's hard on your screen, but you're going to see a little arrow that points along the axis in which it's supposed to slide. So the top face, again, it's really hard to see on this screen, but the top face, the arrow is pointing up, so that's good. So I'm going to pick it, and it's going to give you a preview. And it also shows you which direction, which axis it's sliding along. So you could always change it here, but I do like what I picked, so I'm going to hit OK. And now, if I were to grab it with my mouse with a left-click hold, I can move it. And it'll only move in this direction. And if I were to zoom in, you'll be able to see all the clearance, the 10,000ths of an inch of clearance, that little bit of gap, so that this doesn't rub or get stuck. And then you have a crying kid because they can't get the toy to fit together. That would be bad too. And you'd have mom and dad calling you and yelling at you, returning the toy. It would not be good. All right, so repeat this process. New component. Let's call this cube, or we'll call it square. Let's call it square. Okay, we're going to start sketch on this face. Always capture position. The only reason why this came up is because I was left-click holding and moving things around. So Fusion was like, whoa, I saw things move. I want to capture the position of where I moved it to. Okay, so again, a lot of repetition here. Modify, offset, click, and you know, drag in. In this case, it's not giving me a negative number, which is kind of weird, but you know what? We're all a little bit weird. And then we're going to hit OK. And I'm going to zoom in to make sure it did go on the right. Yep, it did. It went on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out, finish my sketch, tilt it, do my little tilt-a-whirl, and then extrude it up 2 inches. Oh, look at that. I clicked and held it, it actually went to 2 inches. Don't forget to activate your assembly and to add your as-built joint. We're going to get to the joint, which is different than as-built joint. Maybe it's not that much different. It's just if you don't build something in place, then you would use a regular joint. But anyway, same thing. Let me just touch this part. And then second, I'm going to touch what it's supposed to fit into. And then I'm going to pick the top with that little arrow pointing up. And now look at that. Look at the happy children. They're all laughing and enjoying life because they have this wonderful toy to play with now. It's great. All right. One last time, we're going to go over to assemble. I'm going to call this triangle. See if I can spell the word triangle. Oops. My screen is in the way here. Triangle. Huh, 2 N's. Don't judge my spelling. I'm not a good speller. All right. Triangle. Click the top sketch. I'm kind of working pretty far away from this thing. That's not a good idea. I should definitely be closer. So I'm going to go ahead and modify an offset. I click the triangle, drag in, give it a distance of 0.01, hit OK, finish my sketch, tilt my world just a little bit, just a little. If you sing to yourself while you do it, it actually makes things go a lot easier. Click my region, drag it up, give myself 2 inches of distance, and that's it. So I'm going to activate my assembly again, and yep, you guessed it. You guessed it. I need to add a sliding joint. or else this thing is going to move in ways I don't want it to move. So let's add an as-built slider between this, and it just goes. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. All right, so that is how you do this, and that's all I got for you. So a lot of fun. Let's get it tilted in the right way. You can go in and you can move all of these parts. Get out of this command here by just grabbing them and moving them up and down. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. I need more viewers. I'm having a competition with my coworkers to see who can have more likes. So, all right, thanks guys.